Time now for our IBM Star Watch, and we take a look at Dar Tucker, who had a big game yesterday for DePaul in their win over Cincinnati.
Well, Dar Tucker was 7th in the conference in scoring, and he's a streak shooter. Don't want to get him started. And Wayme Efujuku, Keno Davis said he's been playing like a pro, and over the last 6 games, the numbers bear that out.
And our Papa John starting lineups now. We begin with DePaul, and in the backcourt, a true freshman in Jeremiah Kelly. This is a very young Blue Demon team. Will Walker has been shooting the ball exceedingly well lately. Up front, keep an eye on Matt Koshwal. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists in yesterday's win over Cincinnati. For Providence, a very experienced team. They start 4 seniors and 1 junior. Xavier, Curry, and Efujuku in the backcourt, and up front, Jonathan Colley and Jeff McDermott. The Providence Friars are the only team in America with 5 1,000-point scores. Keno Davis inherited a very experienced team from Tim Welsh, and they brought back Sherrod Curry, who missed all of last year with a foot injury. So Providence 10-8 in conference on the season. DePaul 0-18. But if you can salvage something in one game, Len, DePaul may have salvaged their season to a certain extent with a win here yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, DePaul lost to Providence back in January, but the bottom line for them is they were in that game. This is a different team, obviously. They won a game. That made them 0-2 when they lost in January. But it's interesting to see what happens to a team mentally after going 0-18 to finally win one.
And give credit to Jerry Wainwright that his kids didn't quit on him and continued to play hard. And Wainwright, by the way, was not out at all during the game. He is out now. He is suffering from the flu and has been under the weather the last 24 hours, but he is on the bench right now. The 3 from the corner not there for Kelly. And a foul after the play. Jerry Wainwright in his 4th season at DePaul. And this was the toughest one by far. They lost Wilson Chandler after his sophomore season to the NBA the last couple of years. A very young team. 7 of their top 9, Len, are freshmen or sophomores. And in the Big East, especially this year's version of the Big East, that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, absolutely. But it's interesting enough. Again, you go 0-18, you finally win one in the biggest stage in your conference. And the bottom line is, when you're that young, you go either one of several ways. And Jerry Wainwright hopes his guys have the light turned on, maybe see a little bit of hope here.
Jonathan Colley misses the jumper. The winner of this game will take on the top-seeded Louisville Cardinals tomorrow at noon Eastern right here on ESPN. Jeff Xavier will launch, and he's way long, still looking for our first point of the game.
I'll say on the other hand, Providence, they've got to develop some consistency right now. They're playing for the NCAA tournament live, so to speak. This is a team that's right on the cusp, should be on the bubble. If they get an opportunity by winning this game to play Louisville, that gives them the opportunity to kind of seal the deal if they can win it. But you can't look past the ball.
Keno Davis, his first year as head coach of the Friars, was the National Coach of the Year last season at Drake, the son of Dr. Tom Davis, and he was an assistant to his dad. Keno Davis had been to this building before today, but it was only as a kid when his dad was coaching at Boston College. This is the first time that he coaches here at Madison Square Garden.
And when you look at Providence, just the total opposite of DePaul. Providence with 5 seniors, experienced team, and should exhibit some senior urgency. This is the last time around.
Matija Posčić from Croatia misses the baseline jumper. And we're now better than 2 minutes in, still without a point. This is Efujuku. He has been absolutely on fire in recent games for the Friars, getting to the line on a constant basis. He'll take the jumper. It's a 3. It's short. Rebound Blue Demons. Here comes Kelly. 2 teams have combined to go 0 for 9. Around and out. And it'll be Providence ball. A pretty good look from Matt Koshwal. You've done your share of noon games this year. Is this something that happens at a noon game?
For the most part, although DePaul played yesterday, and, even the turnaround, they had enough time to rest, I suspect. I don't know if it's jitters or it's Providence defense right now, but for Providence, they got a little rust. Last game they played was against Villanova last week.
And finally, somebody on the board. Efujuku the slam on a great feed by Jeff McDermott, one of the best passing big men around, as Providence strikes first.
Providence now with a little bit of full court pressure, just looking to try to find some opportunity here to shake loose the ball, get some easy baskets.
Will Walker a miss from the corner. That's been the spot for the Blue Demons, but they haven't been knocking him down. Now a good cut by Walker. Misses the follow. Now still looking to get on the board.
We talked about which way DePaul would go after winning that one game. It looks like they're pretty much relaxed and not playing with that kind of intensity to try to get that second win.
Curry to Colley. Sherrod Curry to Jonathan Colley. 4-0 Friars. These two teams met. It was at Providence back in early January. An 8-point win for the Friars. The Blue Demons gave them a battle.
They were only down one with about 5:29 left at Providence. So DePaul had been in a few games right now. Their problem is sealing the deal.
And they're finally on the board now. 3 minutes and 50 seconds into the game as Dar Tucker, the 6'5 sophomore whom we profiled in the Star Watch, banks it home.
And for Providence, they need to get more balance. When they're playing well, they get 4 or 5 guys in double figures. You look at the Pitt game where they upset number 1, 5 in double figures. And Efajuku cannot do it alone, but he can do it here. Nobody puts a body on him, and Efajuku gets Providence started.
And that's what everybody has to remember is that Providence, you can't just look at it from a Providence point of view. There are so many bubble teams around the country, and they all impact one another. As in off the bench, Randall Hankey scores quickly to make it 6-2. But I think most people feel, and I want to ask you, winning today is not enough. Winning today just gives them an opportunity to beat Louisville tomorrow, and that's one that they would really need, right?
Absolutely. That's what we said at the beginning of the telecast. Right now, 6-6 over their last 12. They've won 2 out of the last 3. One was the signature win against Pittsburgh. And in the end, they need another one to make the committee stand up and take notice. It's not enough just to beat DePaul.
They've got a win over Syracuse. They swept Cincinnati. As the 3 is good from the corner for Tucker to make it a 1-point game.
That's why I say if Providence is playing tomorrow, you know, they're in decent shape. And if they're playing on Friday, they should be very happy and believe that they're getting a bid.
Hankey stripped by Koshwal. In the back come the Blue Demons. Tucker with a ball fake, steps in, 15-footer, and a foul. And Dar Tucker is off to a great start here this afternoon for DePaul.
Well, Dar Tucker is one of those volume scorers. By volume, I mean, he takes a lot of shots in order to get his points, 18 a game, but he's a streak shooter. You do not want to let him get started. The lefty has got a variety of moves. He'll put it on the floor, go to the basket, that 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull-up. Tough to beat with him at 6'5".
Doesn't get the bounce on the free throw. The Blue Demons started the game 0 for 8. Since then, Tucker has taken and made 3 shots.
And now he just passed up a shot trying to get the ball to Hankey. Had a layup.
Will Walker lays it in, and DePaul off and running with an early 3-point lead.
And remember I talked about at the beginning of the telecast, the recipe for upset, some of it includes bubble team anxiety.
Yep.
And that's what Providence has to resist right now.
A 3 for Sherrod Curry. And what an addition he has been after missing last year with a foot injury and even not healthy at the beginning of this year. He's gotten healthier and more effective over the course of the season, and Providence has played better later in the season than they did early. They lost a couple of games early in the season that they would dearly love to have back. Good position by Koshwal, blocked by Hankey.
And to that point, Keno Davis will tell you Sherrod Curry is the 1 true point guard.
Dar Tucker again. He has 10 of their 12.
Yeah, Dar Tucker's got a little bit of glow about him. That's like the beginning of a fire. They better start putting some cold water on him, the Friars would.
Curry from the elbow, but this game was scoreless about 3 minutes in, and now they can't miss as DePaul and Providence are trading baskets.
And we talked about Sherrod Curry being the 1 true point guard on this team, capable of running the team, but he's also capable of scoring over the last 9. He's averaged about 15 points a game, so he's invaluable not only in distributing and leadership, but also putting some points up.
This is a Friar team that has averaged 79 points a game this year. Deep 3, NBA distance by Kelly, runs down the miss. Now Tucker feeling it. Finally misses one, and here comes McDermott. Again, 2 3-point lines here at Madison Square Garden, but it's not the women's line and the men's. It's the men's college line and the NBA line here at MSG.
Good defense by Dar Tucker that time.
Good speed by Will Walker.
Deflection by Tucker leads to a transition basket, and I know Keno Davis wants to come back and remind his guys what they're playing for, because right now they just seem to be going through the motions.
And DePaul playing free and easy, no pressure, a little bit of confidence after the win over Cincinnati yesterday. A good start for the Blue Demons, up by 3. Keno Davis with an early timeout.
And you see no chalkboard, no nothing.
Yep.
Just straight up lecture.
The winner of this one against the top-seeded Louisville Cardinals tomorrow at noon Eastern here on ESPN. Marquette and St. John's, the next game that Len and I will have for today. The winner to get Jay Wright's Villanova Wildcats. Sean McDonough, Bill Raftery, Jay Billis will be here tonight for West Virginia, Notre Dame, and Syracuse Seton Hall. Notre Dame beat Rutgers last night, struggled a little bit. Luke Herringody, only 7 points, 3 for 17. And they'll have a very interesting game tonight with West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Notre Dame looking to try to, surprise the world, if you will. They're totally written off right now. But we remember early in January, Notre Dame, one of the top 10, 15 teams in the country, and just fell right on their faces. They got a chance for redemption.
And speaking of which, Georgetown, they fell right on their faces yesterday. Lost to St. John's, the Red Storm, beating the Hoyas for the second time in a week. And St. John's advancing to the second round, and they'll be the opponent for Marquette in our next game here today. This is Marshawn Brooks, a very talented sophomore, third leading scorer on Providence despite coming off the bench. Curry off to Brian McKenzie, who misses an open look, and here come the Blue Demons.
And you know what? I'm looking at the faces of Providence. The only guy that has that look like I've got to do something, I've got to get this done, is Sherrod Curry. Everybody else, it's not relaxation. But for some reason, everybody has kind of that blank look on their faces for the Providence, the 5 that's on the floor right now. And sometimes that happens when you're suffering from that bubble team anxiety. You're kind of sleepwalking, almost in a trance. They've got to shake out of that.
I mean, there's no way that Providence would come in here taking DePaul lightly after DePaul won yesterday.
No, I think it comes down to, as I said, that anxiety. Right now they're going zone.
Davis describes it as a 3-2 matchup zone, almost man-to-man, the way they match up out of it. Postchich with the offensive rebound, up strong, and then commits the foul. And that will be the second on Maria Postchich.
Right now, if you're Keno Davis, you want to see your guys start early. Chest bumping and screaming out, let's go, baby, and all that kind of stuff. And right now, I don't see any real emotion except, as I said, from Curry.
And Postchich will sit down with a second foul. Devin Hill, a 6'9 freshman out of Stamford, Connecticut, a good shot blocker, will come in as they tend to Jonathan Colley, maybe a contact lens issue over by the Providence bench.
Sometimes there's a tendency when you're in a situation like Providence to kind of say, okay, let's be cool. Let's not get over anxious. Let's relax. But then you get yourself kind of in that trance and you can't get out of it. I'd rather come out here breathing fire and then have Coach to calm us down as opposed to the other way around.
Well, that's what they did against Pittsburgh when they beat them. They came out breathing fire. They got the jump on the Panthers right away. Colley's got the contact back in, and we're ready for basketball again.
And it's difficult here because this is essentially a neutral site. They've got to generate their own emotion.
Be interesting to see how many St. John's fans are here for the next game and what will not be a neutral site game. Brooks, nice feed. Colley inside. Providence within 1.
That time more of assertive type of play. Instead of settling for the jump shot, they got the ball inside off a strong cut.
Jerry Wainwright hollering out a play. Again, Wainwright under the weather, does not quite look like himself, but he is on the sideline right now. And now Colley's going to have to come out. That contact lens still a problem, so they're going to check him out of the game. 11:35 to go in the first half between DePaul and Providence. Dard Tucker has been the story for the Blue Demons. 10 early points for him and a 1-point lead for DePaul. We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Big East Championship. Jim Boeheim, one of the constants. We go back to the first championship game, not here in New York. This one was in Providence. It was Georgetown and Syracuse meeting up for the Big East Championship back in those days. And then the Hoyas would win that first championship, one of 7 conference titles, the most for any school in the Big East. And how this conference tournament has grown literally and figuratively over the years. It's been here at Madison Square Garden in New York each of the last 27 years. Len, you and I have had the great fortune to be a part of the broadcast on this tournament for many, many years and seen so many terrific moments. Georgetown has won 7. The Hoyas are already out of this one. And whether it's a 16 seed like DePaul pulling off a win, a Jerry McNamara run like a few years ago, Brandon Knight of Pittsburgh, Ray Allen over Allen Iverson. I mean, there have been so many incredible moments.
Oh, certainly, but the foundation of the success has been staying here in New York and being consistent here at Madison Square Garden. You know, the media capital of the world. Anything that happens is going to be known and heard immediately. And there's always been a surprise at every tournament.
And so many kids in this league come from the greater New York City area, and it means so much to them to play in this building in this kind of a tournament. That was one of the big themes last year with the Pittsburgh, all those New York City kids.
Yeah, it certainly made a difference. The place was rocking.
Yep. Hill to miss. Not a good outside shooter at all. This guy is. Walker misses the three. Another long rebound. And back into the hands of Tucker.
And Providence can ill afford to give second, third opportunities. Again, to a DePaul team that won its first game in 19 tries yesterday. Looking to try to repeat again, get back-to-back wins, and then, like you say, playing with house money.
Too easy a look for Walker against that zone. Walker coming off a 17-point effort against the Bearcats yesterday.
No one going after that ball with any aggression on the defensive boards for Providence.
Kelly had a good game yesterday. He has taken on a big role, a true freshman out of Chicago. The starting point guard played very well yesterday, with the exception of one ill-advised behind-the-back pass late in the game when they had the lead and the clock was their ally. Aged Jerry Wainwright about 5 years on that one play. But other than that, Kelly had a terrific game.
Is that what made Jerry sick?
I think it is. Brought on the flu. That's how bad a pass it was. Walker on the drive. And a foul.
Well, DePaul's starting to play in a manner that really kind of gets a team like Providence back on their heels. They'll shoot the three. They'll get offensive rebounds. They'll take it to the basket, keeping Providence off balance. And their defense just not assertive enough, not aggressive enough to kind of grab the tempo, grab the opportunities. You know, you cannot play kind of a lax, almost passive zone in a situation, especially when you're in a situation that Providence is in, where they need this win and more.
Well, the DePaul Blue Demons, one of only 3 teams in Division I to not win a single regular season game in a conference play. But DePaul, in some small way, made up for it yesterday with that upset over Cincinnati to advance to the second round today against Providence. And the Blue Demons, halfway through the first half, off to a good start. McDermott has it blocked by Hill. That is Hill's specialty. Numbers for the Blue Demons. Koshwal with the finish.
And this DePaul team playing like they were right in the middle of the pack all year. Makes you wonder, how'd they go 0-18?
Big time collision under the basket as McDermott and Koshwal, a couple of big fellas, go down hard.
You know, DePaul rebounding, blocking shots, pushing the ball up the floor in transition. You know, like they're one of the premier teams in the conference. And on this end, obviously, Jeff McDermott, accustomed to that kind of contact, being a football star in high school.
Terrific quarterback, misses the free throw badly. McDermott's got 2 fouls, by the way. That last foul was on Koshwal. His second, he goes out, and here comes Postchich back into the game for DePaul, and he's got 2 fouls.
And you talk about McDermott, a quarterback in high school, nifty passer, and you just wonder how he can shoot 46% from the free throw. He's got good rotation. It's just like he just throws it up there.
I'll tell you, Dar Tucker is playing with a look in his eye today. He's been assertive offensively, skied for that rebound. And he's playing like a man possessed here in the early going. DePaul by 6.
It's the mirror image of what it should be. I mean, DePaul, considering their record and their chances, you know, you couldn't blame them if they were just going through the motion. And Providence should have the fire in their eye.
Tucker got in foul trouble yesterday. Didn't score at all in the first half. Scored all 17 of his points against Cincinnati in the second half. And for Len, sometimes a sign of hustle and intensity is offensive rebounding numbers. DePaul's got 7 of them already today.
And that comes from that passive zone that Providence is playing. I know Keno Davis doesn't want it to be passive.
Walker with a tough floater. And the rebound in traffic by Jonathan Colley. Walker down behind the play, 5-on-4 Friars. Efajuku stolen away by Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker is everywhere right now. He's anticipating passes on the defensive end. That's about the 3rd good defensive play that he's made. And on offense, as I said, he's a volume scorer. But if he gets hot, he can streak you out.
Providence likes to stay in the zone. They'll only come out of it if they have to, and we'll see if the Blue Demons force him out of it. Walker on the drive, and he's called for the offensive foul. Brian McKenzie back in for the Friars. Jeff Xavier will go out. That foul is the first turnover committed by Jerry Wainwright's team in this game. He's got one of those great expressive faces, doesn't he? I mean, you just love to look at his facial expressions, even though some of them he seems to be in pain sometimes. And again, we feel for him today because he is not feeling well. His son, Scott, an assistant, is not feeling well, both suffering from the flu. The three for Efajuku.
That's the three-pointer for Wayne Efajuku.
Well, to start a fire, you need a spark, and maybe it's Efajuku who can get Providence started. We're talking about Jerry Wainwright. He's got that wry, sardonic wit.
Will Walker for three, the answer at the other end, and that restores the 6-point lead. Walker's got 10 points already.
You know, that kind of sense of humor, you can kind of weather the 0-18 conference record.
Dar Tucker just took a charge. So Dar Tucker has been everywhere, all over the place, doing a ton of good things in the early going for the Blue Demons, who are here in New York trying to pull off their second upset in as many days here at the Big East Championship. Well, the DePaul Blue Demons went 0-18 in conference play. Only 3 of them were decided by 8 points or less. They did not have a win since December until yesterday when they beat Cincinnati. Dar Tucker, one of the big keys yesterday. Dar Tucker led one of the big keys so far today.
Yeah, and we talk about him again being a volume scorer. Needs a lot of shots to get his points, but he's focusing on the defensive end right now. Done a nice job taking charges, deflecting passes. He's in the ball game, and you got to wonder on the other side who for the Friars will pick their team up.
As mentioned earlier, didn't score at all in the first half yesterday against Cincinnati. Was in foul trouble. 17 second half points yesterday. 10 first half points today. Will Walker's got 10 first half points. So they've combined those two half for 20 of their 22 points. Matt Koshwal has the other basket. So their so-called big three have all 22 of their points here today. And they've got a 6-point lead on the Friars.
Well, really what it comes down to again is these guys are playing for pride more than anything else. I mean, here they are, the biggest stage in conference play. They know they're better than their record reflects. At least if you talk to them, they'll tell you that. And the only way to back up that talk is to prove it. This is the last opportunity this year. So there's a sense of urgency on the DePaul end as well.
You can see the extra field goal opportunities for DePaul. It's a combination of great offensive rebounding by the Blue Demons and also those turnovers that you see right there that have been committed by the Friars.
Yeah, you talk about volume scoring. DePaul is kind of a volume scoring team as well, averaging 64 points a game on 41% field goal shooting on the year. So they need to get up a lot of shots, and you create them by forcing turnovers, offensive rebounds.
The Friars stay in the zone. Walker gets a look from the wing, and Will Walker is hot early today as well. 13 already, his second three. DePaul by 9.
Well, he's second in the Big East in three-point field goal percentage and third in three-pointers made, 3 a game. You got to believe that Providence understands he's the guy you got to find behind the arc.
And the big picture for the Friars, again, is McDermott comes back into the game now for Providence, and Alex Kellogg will check in, a sophomore from Columbus, Ohio, who doesn't play all that much. There needs to be urgency for Providence. They are well aware their only shot at an NCAA tournament bid is to win today, and in all likelihood, at least win tomorrow. But a loss today, and they are absolutely done. And most people feel they at least have to win 2 games here. But there has not appeared to be a sense of urgency for the Friars so far today.
And it's hard to generate it. Once you don't come out with it to begin the game, it's hard to really get it done, sometimes until it's too late.
Sherrod Curry on the feed from Jeff McDermott.
And he's the only guy that I've seen thus far that's got that fire in his eyes. But if he's a leader, it's going to kind of translate. You look at the full court pressure, a little more bounce in the step of Providence.
And it gets him a steal. McDermott, bounce pass, Efajuku, 5 quick points for the Friars.
It's like that old game Electricity. It's starting to spread from one to the other.
And now DePaul struggling with the pressure again. Knocked out of bounds, Providence ball. But twice the Friars have put the pressure on. Twice they have come up with the ball.
Right now, much more aggressive double team. And Providence obviously pretty good at shaking the ball loose. But but you've got to be able to go with some kind of urgency when he's pressing like that.
Sherrod Curry, another three. A lightning quick 8-0 run and another turnover. Curry the lob. Efejuku misses it. And the Blue Demons have it. They just need to get the ball over half court, take a deep breath, and run their offense.
But do you get the sense now that Providence has finally gotten into the game mentally? They start to realize what's at stake.
And it started with that full court pressure. It immediately produced 3 turnovers.
You know, the biggest mistake DePaul can make right now is to back down.
With 2 on the shot clock, a 28-footer by Kelly rims out. Here come the Friars looking for the lead.
When I say back down, to kind of take away the aggressiveness that they have shown for most of this game and start to play, not to turn the ball over and play afraid.
And the foul committed by Kelly.
Ball foul is charged to Jeremiah Kelly.
First on Kelly. Marshawn Brooks back in for Wayme Efejuku for Providence. A pretty deep Providence team. Tino Davis will comfortably go 8 deep. He's got 8 players, all of whom average better than 16 minutes per game, and he's already got his 9th player, Alex Kellogg, in the game today as well.
Well, he's been using a lot of combinations, trying to find that combination that's willing to go out there and play the way they played over the last minute and a half.
Marquette and St. John's, our second round game, coming up about 20 minutes after the end of this one here on ESPN today. Then a couple more games tonight as well. McKenzie misses on the 3. Rebound Hill. Two keys offensively for the Blue Demons have been Will Walker with the ball right now and Dar Tucker. He's got it now. They have combined for 23 of DePaul's 25 points.
Well, they've been the bulk of the scoring for the most part, along with Koshwal throughout the season.
Koshwal's been on the bench a long time in this half with 2 fouls. They've gotten a lot out of their team without him in there. Deep 3 misses by Walker. Second possession in a row. DePaul really didn't get anywhere and forced up a deep 3 with the shot clock running down. Curry almost turns it over. Saved by Brooks. Brooks lost it. Now McKenzie. Kept alive by the Friars, and a foul committed by Hill of DePaul.
Well, we talked about the need for Providence to play with a lot more urgency. They're starting to get it done with that pressure. The delivery by McDermott, but the guy who started it all, Sherrod Curry, knocks one down. Providence back in the game.
And you used the phrase DePaul playing with house money here today. St. John's is playing with house money. Even though they had beaten Georgetown a week ago, not many people expected them to do it again yesterday, which they did. And now they'll be an underdog against Marquette. But you know there will be some Red Storm fans here in the house in New York.
Yeah, St. John's playing with house money, and it's their house.
That's right. Try to reclaim their house and to make it the environment it once was during the heyday of Louis Carnesecca, Chris Mullen, both of whom were in attendance yesterday.
Yeah, tremendous tradition at St. John's. One of the cornerstones of this conference.
St. John's win yesterday was their first at the Big East Championship since 2003. And Providence is trying to pick up their first win in this tournament since 2003 here today. They're on an 8-0 run as Efejuku forces his way in. And we get a foul going against the Friars.
With DePaul making a nice effort, trying to keep Efejuku away from the basket. I mean, he's a guy that is capable of scoring big numbers without a lot of field goals because he gets to the free throw line so often.
He's got 7. Sherrod Curry leads Providence with 11. For DePaul, Will Walker with 13 and Dar Tucker with 10. No pressure from the Friars. The Blue Demons handle it better this time around.
Yeah, freshman Jeremiah Kelly just kind of backed the ball over the half-court line, taking good care of it.
Walker driving on Brooks. Tucker from the corner. Rebound Providence, and once again, they look for the lead. last year and hampered him at the beginning of this year. Some thought that perhaps the committee might take into account that he was not healthy, although he was playing at the beginning of the year when Providence was struggling more than they did later on in the season. But there are so many teams who have or had an injured player or players. Do you think that's the kind of thing, a guy who played hurt, is that the kind of thing the committee takes into account?
Well, I'm not so sure that, you know, save the fact that you just informed them. You wonder if the committee really knew that Curry was playing hurt because he played. You know, the factors that the chairman, Mike Slive, spoke of are WWH. Who did you play? Where did you play him? With whom did you play? And that's where this Curry discussion comes in, and how you did. Now, that Curry situation can be distinguished from, say, Blake Griffin, where he did not play, and Oklahoma lost those games. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But somebody's got to make them aware that their best player, or at least their best point guard, was playing injured.
A three from the corner for Mario Stula, a redshirt sophomore from Croatia who just checked into the game. He came in after Postic, his fellow Croatian, picked up his third foul. He'd been in the game about 8 seconds, and he knocks down a three.
Yeah, play-by-play guy's nightmare. Postic and then Stula.
You go right to the source. You ask them exactly how they pronounce their names, and you go with that. Marshawn Brooks posting up makes it a one-point game. Hill whips a pass into the corner. Stula again.
Well, it's getting the ball into the middle of that zone that's creating the openings.
Curry into traffic, and he is fouled by Stula. But what an impact this young man has had in the game. Didn't play at all for the first 17 minutes. He's been in about 45 seconds. He's knocked down 2 threes.
Well, right there, you take a look at the middle. Everybody just standing in no man's land instead of covering shooters or going to pressure Devin Hill, the man in the middle who delivered the pass. You got to make a choice. You want to cover the basket and clog up the middle and leave the open shooter, or you're going to go out and cover shooters? Providence paid the price.
On the season, Len, Stula made 7 threes in 34 attempts. He's been in the game less than a minute. He's knocked down 2 threes here today.
New York has a way of doing that to you, you know, bringing out your best. Coming here in Madison Square Garden, you got to give your grandchildren something.
A 2-point game. Here comes Xavier back into the game for McDermott for the Friars.
You know, regardless of where his career goes beyond that, he can always tell those kids, hey, I knocked down 2 right from that spot.
That's right. In the world's most famous arena. Be all that a much better story if they can manage a win here today, as Jerry Wainwright's going to use a timeout.
That will be a 30-second timeout for the Blue Demons.
Second round action from the Big East Championship here at Madison Square Garden, New York City. The DePaul Blue Demons, who were 0-18 in conference play this year, upset Cincinnati yesterday. They're playing Providence right now. The winner gets the top seed Louisville tomorrow. Marquette and St. John's coming up after this game this afternoon. And then a couple of good ones tonight, West Virginia and Notre Dame, Syracuse and Seton Hall. The big boys are waiting, the so-called double bye to the quarterfinal round for Louisville, Pittsburgh, Connecticut, and Villanova. How would you feel as a coach getting 2 days off while some teams have played for 1 or both of those days leading into your game?
I'd be happy because, you know, you got to be confident in your team's chances, but I'd be wary. Simply because 2 days off and you have a team that's played at least 1 day and maybe 2 days, you know, they're in their flow, they're in their rhythm. It'll take a while for his guys to shake off, whoever's playing with the 2 days rest, to shake off the rust, and you hope it doesn't take long. And we've seen that before with a team getting a bye and having just 1 day off and playing a team that's already played, how difficult that is.
More pressure from the Friars.
The Providence is going to stay with the pressure right now until DePaul either shoots him out of it or until this game is out of hand in Providence's favor. And they have to do that because what it's done, it's given his defense, Keno Davis's defense, a little more activity, a little more of a bounce in their step.
And a reach-in foul going against Efajuku. Sherrod Curry picks up the foul, the 15 foul, so it doesn't put DePaul on the line. 1:12 to go here in the half. DePaul with the ball in a 2-point lead.
And when we looked at the brackets again, as I mentioned before, Providence is playing on Thursday. they got to feel pretty good about their chances. And if they're playing Friday, they should be in. That means they will have beaten both this DePaul team and beat Louisville.
Well, part of the thinking is that DePaul beating Cincinnati hurts Providence because a win over DePaul wouldn't help the Friars as much as a win over Cincinnati.
Well, a win over DePaul to me means nothing if you're a tournament selection committee. You know, you've got to move on. It only means that you're going to get a chance to really prove yourself in what is a must-win situation against a potentially very high-seeded team, potentially a 1 seed. And I say potentially because right now I still think Oklahoma is part of that 1 seed with Pittsburgh, Connecticut, and of course North Carolina.
The conversation is certainly an interesting one depending on what happens the rest of championship week. Providence holding for the, pretty much holding for the final shot, about a 3-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. It'll be Curry. Banks in on 3 to give the Friars the lead.
And also maybe give them a little bit of energy.
Good if it goes. A little strong for Walker. And Providence on an improbable 3 from Sherrod Curry takes a 1-point lead into halftime. Curry with 16 first-half points for the Friars, offsetting what Dar Tucker and Will Walker have been able to do for the Blue Demons, keeping the number 16 seed within a point.
An NCAA bid.
Will Walker and Dar Tucker carried the Blue Demons offensively in the first half after they were so cold to begin the game. Both teams were. Then they started trading baskets back and forth like crazy, and a big run at the end of the half. It began really with their defense. Some full-court pressure, some turnovers, some easy baskets. Providence by 1 going to the second half. Alan Hopkins had a chance to visit with the DePaul coaching staff.
Coach Wainwright was very happy with his team's offensive output despite the fact they played most of that half without Matt Koshwall. He said they got to do a better job of defending. They weren't as tight as he'd like him to be. He said the other thing, they got to get to the free throw line. They didn't do that at all in half number 1, Dan.
Yeah, Koshwall, a forgotten guy for parts of the first half. Played 10 minutes, had a couple of fouls. Jerry Wainwright took him out, and Koshwall is to the inside for DePaul as Dar Tucker and Will Walker are to the outside. They need something from Koshwall.
Well, again, we talk about Providence and their situation, having to win this game to get to an opportunity to get another signature win to impress the tournament selection committee. First 5 minutes of this half should tell the tale. They ended on a good note with Curry's last second 3 to give them the lead.
Kelly probing for an opening, turns the corner, scoops it up and in.
Boy, that was too easy. Jeff McDermott just didn't follow through. Had to play the baseline, take it away, but Kelly found a way.
Remy Efijuku with the ball for Providence. He had 8 points in the first half. Sherrod Curry leading all scorers with 16.
They come out the way, Providence comes out the way they started the game. DePaul's going to stay in this game and believe they can win it.
Second foul on Dar Tucker.
Now take a look at McDermott guarding the ball handler. He's standing straight up. When you're guarding a guy out on the perimeter, you've got to get down, lower your center of gravity so you can move laterally a lot quicker. Big guys don't normally do that.
McDermott blows right by Postchich for the jam.
I guess it's a defensive thing, because on offense, McDermott showed some quickness. If he showed the same quickness on defense, Kelly doesn't get that layup.
McDermott known much more as a passer and a rebounder than he is as a scorer. Those are his first 2 points of the game. He's averaging 8 and change on the season. This is Walker. Knocked down a few outside shots in the first half. Misses his first attempt in the second half. Postchich with the offensive rebound.
And this time playing man-to-man, Providence doesn't have an excuse, and they give up a second chance opportunity.
Will Walker's third 3 of the afternoon.
You know, playing zone, it's tough enough to keep guys off the offensive glass. But playing man, you've got to be able to put a body on somebody.
Xavier launches a deep 3 from the wing. Very quick shot. That's the kind of shot they can get anytime.
And you see Keto Davis exhaled on that one in a frustration type of way.
Tucker, his third 3 of the game, and a big smile on his face as the sophomore gets back on D. DePaul right back out to a 5-point lead. And there's a foul on Postchich, and he was in foul trouble a lot in the first half. That'll be his 4th.
Well, again, just a nice pass out of the double team. Walker spots up. We talked about him being one of the more proficient three-point shooters in the conference. And there's Dar Tucker. Every time Providence wants to double someone, every time they collapse the defense, DePaul's done a nice job of kicking it back outside to spot up shooter.
Devin Hill in to replace Postchich. So Postchich, who's not a scorer, he's a defender and a rebounder for DePaul, sits down with 4 fouls. It looked like McDermott was just bound and determined to get that 4th foul on Postchich.
Well, that was just a nice way to attack DePaul, recognizing the weakness in the matchup.
And led maybe of greater concern, that last foul, this one right here, was the 3rd on Matt Koshwal, and he's really a guy that DePaul cannot play without.
Well, Providence recognizing again that they got to go after guys who have foul trouble on DePaul's end. Hopefully wins this battle, more of attrition than anything else.
Do you think I'll be saying Mario Stula again here in the second half?
I suspect so. He'll get his moment.
Yep. And he made the most of his moments late in the first half. Came off the bench because of foul trouble and knocked down a couple of threes.
And by the way,
Kenzie in for Xavier.
You said it very well.
Thank
you. I know you've been practicing at halftime.
I've been studying my Croatian. There's Stula, who hit only 7 threes all season, talking with his fellow countryman Postchich.
And this is how I did it.
Great steal by Efajuku.
And good decision not to force the issue.
Great drive by Efajuku, and he is fouled. Going to be Hill, I believe. It is Devin Hill.
Well, we talk about Efajuku averaging 15 points a game, and it's been really outstanding over the last 6 games. And one of the things that Keno Davis has mentioned is that they played out in California in the Disney Classic early in the season, and they look at Efajuku as similar to James Harden, the outstanding player for Arizona State, and wondered what makes Harden so good. And they recognize that Harden gets to the free throw line a lot, and they started to try to mimic that with Efajuku. In fact, there was one game against Rutgers, Efajuku only took 7 shots, 6 out of 7 from the field, but made 15 of 17 from the free throw line to get 28 points. That's economy.
Efajuku, honorable mention, all Big East. He was the only Friar to receive any recognition. The league picking 6 first-team players, 5 second to 5 third, and then 4 honorable mention players. Remember, 16 teams in this league, so that's saying he's one of the top 20 players in the league. And they're going to count the basket. Holly charged with goaltending.
Holly with a look of disbelief. The ball appeared to be coming down. Take a look right there. Actually, it hits the backboard on the way down. So
Jerry Wainwright wants to use an early timeout here in the second half. 5-point lead for the Blue Demons. After the break, we'll check into the studio for a championship week update.
It impresses me every day you watch them. They may not always be successful, but to a man in the Big East, the coaches tell you that St. John's plays harder than anyone else. Not to say that no one else plays hard, but for some reason, there's like an extra drive that St. John's puts out there on the floor. You know, they've been without their starting point guard for a lot of the game. They're out without their best player, Anthony Mason Jr., for just about all season. Yet they still come out and they compete.
And like DePaul, a very young team playing against the upper echelon of the league, which is dominated to a certain extent by upperclassmen. Efajuku, a terrific drive to the goal.
Well, that was just excellent recognition. Efajuku had Koshwal in foul trouble, and he had to let him go.
Pressured by the Friars. This rattled the Blue Demons for a couple of minutes in the first half, but they seem to be reacting better to it now that they've seen it. Postchich on the bench with 4 fouls for DePaul. Koshwal, number 13, their key front court player, is in the game with 3 fouls. Here's Tucker. It's short on the 3. Rebound, McDermott. Sherrod Curry with the floater. Too easy. Nobody stopped the ball.
Curry recognized that, never gave up, continued to take what the defense gave him.
Curry, the high scorer in this game with 18, as Providence back within 1. Tucker misses the baseline floater. Shot clock does not reset.
And another offensive rebound, this time Koshwal in kind of the secondary break. got good position, and Providence has to be wary now. They're playing the zone. If they persist in the zone, it's got to be able to limit a second chance opportunity.
Walker uses the screen from Koshwal and knocks down a wide-open 16-footer.
That's the second jump shot that Walker has gotten off of offensive rebounds by DePaul in this half.
And Len, the offensive rebounding numbers 10 for DePaul to just 4 for Providence.
You got Randall Hankey, pretty good player down low. Had Koshwal on him, but Koshwal switches out.
Curry. He is having some kind of an afternoon. 21 points now for Sherrod Curry.
And we mentioned at the beginning of the telecast, Curry was really the only guy that seemed to have his game face.
Tucker switches hands, uses his offhand, the right hand, to scoop DePaul back to a 2-point lead. Hankey the lay-in on the feed by Curry.
And when I talk about game face, Providence with so much to play for comes out here flat, allows DePaul to build the lead and then stay in the ball game. And they're not relenting.
The field goal percentage for Providence, 57%. DePaul's had so many more opportunities because of offensive rebounding and fewer turnovers committed than the Friars. We are all tied up at 45. The miss by Tucker, the rebound by McKenzie. Curry, fourth-year junior, after missing last season with a broken foot, fouled by Kelly as we go to a break. We are tied at 45, and we are seeing some pretty talented offensive players get it done here today. Wayme Efajuku puts the ball on the deck and gets to the rim for the layup for Providence, but Dart Tucker, well, he matches it at the other end with a terrific drive. We are tied here in New York. Dominant performer to this point of the game, Sherrod Curry of the Providence College Friars. Time now for today's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway. Len with his take on Sherrod Curry's performance.
Well, Sherrod Curry, a true point guard in a system that's got big men and a versatile scorer in Wayme Efajuku. But the best part of Curry's game is that he's got the capability of keeping defenses honest. And when they're draped all over the big guys and locking down Efajuku, Curry loosens them up. Is an ability to knock down the three as well as penetrate and create. You know, classic point guard play. Push it up the floor, test the defense. If nothing's there, distribute. And when the shot clock's running down, create for yourself or others. And Curry's done that to a T.
Jonathan Colley, left hand, no. Tucker keeps it alive and corrals the rebound for the Blue Demons. Dart Tucker, Will Walker, the best players so far today. Here's Tucker, little hesitation, too strong off the glass. And it will be DePaul's ball. Boy, that's one you might want to look at again. It sure looked like it was Stula knocking that ball out of bounds.
Well, you look at Tucker, he had to go with his right hand. He's a lefty and a little bit too hard. That's where fundamentals pay off. Got to be able to use both hands close to the basket.
Koshwal in the middle of that zone looking for a feed. They have not really gotten the ball inside to him very often at all today. Here he comes to set a high screen. Stula open. Unbelievable. The guy has hit 7 threes the whole season, hardly plays, and he's got 3 threes in, less than 2 minutes of court time here today.
I tell you, that's what New York does to you. Just a sophomore. Star is born.
Brooks is fouled on the 3 by Tucker.
You know, you see if it plays on 7th Avenue. And Stula, they're not really paying attention to him. Look how much room he has. Cauley comes out much too late.
And you can surmise that Providence probably did not spend a whole lot of time in the walkthrough yesterday or today worrying about Mario Stula.
No, they weren't game planning for Stula. And I think right now you got to adapt. You play in that zone, the guys on the wings can't afford to ignore them.
Here comes Postchich, and there are 3 free throws, so he's got to wait for one more. Stula's going to come out. Postchich has 4 fouls. That's the only reason why Stula's gotten any time here today, and he's knocked down 3 threes.
I was going to say, and how quickly they forget, man. I just knocked down 3 and I'm coming out.
Number 31, Mario Postchich is back in for the ball.
Jerry Wainwright taking the hot hand out.
Well, just for a moment, he just sat him down, told him to sit right here. When a coach tells you to sit right here, you know you're going to come back in.
Now Efijuku returns for Providence. DePaul as a team 9 for 21 from three-point range today. And Providence fewer attempts but an even better percentage. They are 6 out of 12 from beyond the arc.
Well, you can imagine why that DePaul is being given that three-point shot as Providence kind of packs their zone, and they're only 29% on the season. So if you're going to play the odds, that's what you do. You give them those shots, hope they shoot themselves out.
That foul is on Brooks, his first, just the team's first this half. DePaul's already committed 6 fouls here in the second half. Keep an eye on that. Providence figures to be doing a lot of free throw shooting.
I tell you what, you can look at the Providence zone right now, and they've extended. They're going out way beyond the three-point line.
Jonathan Colley the foul. Here comes Stula. Jerry Wainwright may yo-yo him in and out of this game offensively and defensively right now. Even though Postich has the foul trouble, they may want Postich for defense and Stula for offense.
Also, Postich against the pressure. And here on the inbounds play, getting Stula as he runs to his spot. He's kind of running the baseline a little bit.
Tucker for 3. The 10th three-pointer for the Blue Demons here this afternoon. Every time Providence makes a run, gets even briefly takes the lead, the young Blue Demons have responded. What a spin by Efijuku.
They said he's playing like a pro right now at 6'5". His ability to take people inside as well as shoot the three.
That is a fabulous move there by Dar Tucker. Got his man in the air and blew by him for the layup.
A much better use of the right hand by the lefty.
Efijuku misses the 3 over the back. We've got a foul on the Friars.
And look at the DePaul Blue Demons. As this play occurs, look at Dar Tucker clapping their hands, smiling. These cats came to play today. You take a look at Dar Tucker. Nice little ball fake. Gets Colley off the deck, and then he goes straight to the hole. He gets a little bit closer with that right hand and lays it up softly as opposed to the last layup.
A big day for Dar Tucker. And a pretty impressive performance thus far by DePaul, the number 16 seed in the Big East. 0-18 in regular season play in the conference. Had not won a game since December. They beat Cincinnati by 10 yesterday. A 22-5 run in the second half to get that going. And now they're up 5 on Providence. Walker the miss. Rebound Friars.
Well, we talked about at the beginning of the telecast, after going 0-18 and then finally winning their first game against a Big East opponent this year, you wondered how DePaul would respond. Well, they're responding as though they've been winning all season.
Nice kicks from Efijuku to Jeff Xavier, who buries the 3. Ball just the 3rd team in the Big East history to go 0-for in conference play. Miami was 0-18 in 94. Providence was 0-6 in the inaugural season of the Big East, 79-80. 2 more for Dar Tucker. He's got 22.
And Tucker's defying the defense because they're forcing him to go right, and he's doing it. And that time, last 2 times now, he's been able to put it up on the glass softly and score.
Colley with good position. Koshwal with 3 fouls, and Colley scores over him.
And they've established their perimeter game, particularly with Curry. Now they've got to be able to go inside, try to get the big men for DePaul in foul trouble, which they already are, and get some of them out of the game.
Kelly, Walker with a bounce in his step. And it'll be a block going against the Friars. I believe Colley will collect the foul.
Well, Dar Tucker is kind of making New York his stage as well. Not only is he knocking them down from the perimeter, but he's defying the defense, using his right hand off the glass and then taking it to the middle, using that right hand, and just making it picture perfect.
Yes, they beat Syracuse, but overall, the strength of schedule, RPI, and those are just 2 of the many factors that are considered, are not where you would like them to be to feel comfortable. Some would say, hey, 10-8 in what most people feel is the toughest league in the country, that should be enough, but I think we would agree Providence still has a fair bit of work to do.
I think Keno Davis would agree. Certainly another signature win could seal the deal. And conventional thinking would have thought after Sherrod Curry knocked down the three to put Providence in the lead at the end of the first half, that momentum would have gone to their bench and they would have come out here smoking. And we said the first 5 minutes, well, we've given them 10 minutes. And what's happened? They've actually lost the lead with DePaul starting to feel their oats.
2 for Walker. Rebound to McDermott. DePaul by 3, nearing the midway point of the second half. Curry a little bit out of control, stolen from behind. I think that was Stulo, got his hand in there, Len.
Yeah, Curry was cognizant of Stulo behind him, but probably didn't protect the ball enough, not thinking that he would reach.
Tucker takes the bump and will go to the line. Dar Tucker, very aggressive from the moment this game began today.
Well, again, Providence forcing him to go right, and he's delivering. You look at the second half of yesterday's game against Cincinnati when he started to heat up, and he's just picked up today where he left off yesterday.
He is just a sophomore from Saginaw, Michigan. He was asked about whether or not he would consider going to the NBA after this season, and he said, I'll consider putting my name in. Hearing what people say about me, the consensus seems to be that he should definitely come back. He does not appear on very many draft boards, but he's obviously a talented young man. And DePaul next year figures to be better. It can't get much worse than it was this year. 0-18 in the conference, 9-23 overall. But the nucleus is young, and as we have seen the last couple of days, Len, there's some talent here.
Oh, absolutely. And he's a shooting guard, and he's got to develop some things. Certainly more consistency in his shooting. But there's no question about his size and his athleticism.
Jerry Wainwright, by the way, has been given the vote of confidence a couple of times by DePaul's athletic director. And Coach Wainwright, in his 4th season at DePaul, is signed through 2012. Sherrod Curry misses the 3. Tucker with another rebound, and he's fouled by Colley. And number 4 on Jonathan Colley. There's the athletic director at DePaul, Jean Lenti-Ponsetto, who both in January and again here just last week said she feels the program is heading in the right direction. She understands they're young. She likes the kinds of players and students that Jerry Wainwright is recruiting, and at least publicly it seems as if Jerry Wainwright is safe. Let's go to Alan Hopkins for more.
And well, Coach Wainwright told me earlier that it's really his fault he has such a young team. He didn't want to go the junior college route, and he's playing a bunch of freshmen and sophomore, and he takes all the responsibility. But he also went out of his way to defend his guys. He said despite what they've been doing on the basketball court, this is a winning program, how well these guys are becoming young men off the court. And he's taking a lot of pride in how far he's really teaching this team about life lessons. They've certainly got plenty of them this year in conference play, Dave.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's the key. And it's all about priorities of the athletic department of the university and certainly of the coach. You know, your first and foremost job is to build character and build young men. And if you're looking at that, Jerry Wainwright is the right guy. 15 years as a head coach. He's got 237 wins. He's had terrific success at North Carolina, Wilmington, as well as Richmond. You don't become a bad coach overnight.
Walker turns it over. Here comes Curry. And 2 Friars were there for the putback and fumbled it away. Walker the lob, and broken up by Efijuku, who is called for the foul.
I'll tell you what, it's getting tight for Providence right now. They're starting to feel it. We talked about bubble team anxiety, missing opportunities. And here, look, nobody gets back. 2-on-1 break. And look how late the Providence guys get back. You know, that's not indicative of a team that's got something to play for.
There was a time earlier this half where DePaul had committed 16 fouls and Providence only 1. DePaul still at 6, and now Providence is over the limit as Dar Tucker steps to the line.
And that comes from DePaul just keeping up the pressure. Yeah, sometimes you're going to teach young guys, you're going to get frustrated. And Jerry took a moment, kind of composed himself, and now he's giving them positive feedback, which is very important when you're dealing with young players.
25 points today for Dar Tucker. 17 all in the second half yesterday against Cincinnati. Marshawn Brooks, a terrific offensive player, is back into the game and now for the Friars. Past the midway point of the second half, and DePaul continues to lead against a team with who's had a much better season, a much more experience, and to be honest with you, much more to play for right now than the Blue Demons do. Efijuku, jump stop, blocked. Stula with a block shot, and it's DePaul's ball.
Did you think you'd be saying Stula's name this often?
I did not think I'd be saying Stula's name at all. But not only the 3 threes, he's come up with a couple of big defensive plays as well.
And you know what? This crowd, this is New York for you. Certainly there are partisan Providence fans here, but the rest of the crowd, as you take a look at Stula, just holding steady in the middle. This crowd in New York loves the underdog, and as this game continues, as DePaul stays in the lead, this crowd starts to get squarely behind them, and that emotion works with DePaul and works against Providence.
Atlanta technical foul on Providence coach Keno Davis. Smiles and enthusiasm and confidence building for the Blue Demons. Walker makes 1 of 2. DePaul by 5. Timeout, Providence.
Providence calls timeout. That's a 30-second
timeout taken by Keno Davis. So DePaul trying to pull off its second upset in as many days. Remember, this is a 16-team league. And this is the first year that 13 through 16 have been invited to this tournament. 16 DePaul beat 9 at Cincinnati yesterday. Now they're trying to beat the 8th seed in Providence and advance to a quarterfinal matchup against Rick Pitino's Louisville Cardinals tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you what, when the meetings go on as to whether this continues, and until further notice, all 16 teams are invited. But when that happens, the only votes against inviting those last 4 will be the upset victim.
That's right. Well, do you like it? Which way do you like better, all 16 or 12, the way they've done it the last couple of years?
I like all 16 simply because of the unpredictability. I mean, that's what postseason play is all about, whether it's in conference tournaments or in the NCAA tournament. You got the fallibility, I should say, of young men out here, and you have the ability of young men to rise to the challenge to play beyond their capability. And that's what makes this game a beautiful game.
And without question, the last 2 days, regardless of what happens for the next 8.5 minutes, have been the high point of the season for DePaul.
Oh, no question about it. This is their season.
Tucker fouled. It'll be McKenzie. Tucker's going back to the line.
You know, this allows them to have amnesia about the regular season.
Providence foul is on Brian McKenzie. It's his first personal and the 9th on the team.
From the moment the game began, literally from the first possession, Dart Tucker has played with a bounce in his step and a ton of intensity and fire in his eyes. And he has not let up at all. He has taken the action to the Friars from the get-go. .71% free throw shooter on the season. DePaul as a team, just 62%.
And when Will Walker shot the technicals, you wondered why a 67% shooter is on the line. At the time, he was the best free throw shooter on the floor.
So a 6-point lead now for the Blue Demons. Marquette and St. John's, our next game today here on ESPN. That one will start about 20 minutes after the conclusion of this one. 2 more games coming your way tonight. Curry off a screen. In and out. McDermott the rebound. And fouled by Stula. And the Providence fans with a Bronx cheer here in New York. It has been a while since a ball went against DePaul.
Well, it's easy to blame the officials, but Providence fans have to take a look right now at the demeanor of their team. They've got to stop playing with anxiety and start playing with confidence.
Jerry Wainwright just sent Postchich to the scorer's table to check in, and then he changed his mind and called him back. Postchich has been sidelined with foul trouble much of the afternoon, but it actually may have helped the Blue Demons because his replacement. Now I said, you see that? You see what happened to me there? His replacement, Stula, has knocked down 3 threes.
Yeah, you're allowed to turn over now and then.
Hey, it's a noon game for us too, right? DePaul's ball up by 4. Timeout as Walker couldn't get the ball in. With house money, as we've said, from the moment this game began.
But you look at Providence, there's a tendency now of guys like Sherrod Curry, who's been extraordinary in this game, but he may have the tendency to try to do it by himself, and Efajuku may try to do it by himself instead of relying more on team. The more adversity you face, the tighter you have to become as a team, the more cohesive, as opposed to trying to go off on your own.
Well, Providence knows if they lose this game, they have no shot at an NCAA bid. They know if they win this game, they still probably have work to do. I think most people would say they definitely have work to do, but at least they put themselves in a situation to accomplish that. by getting a chance at Louisville tomorrow. Offensive rebound for the Blue Demons. That's one of the big subplots in this game today. That's their 13th of the afternoon.
And it was by Stula, and you wonder why Postchich was put back on the bench. I think Jerry Wainwright had an intuitive moment not to replace this guy, and he's coming up paying dividends.
Tucker off to Kelly. 10 on the shot clock.
Now that's an offensive foul, no question.
Koshwal, number 4. Koshwal has struggled at times today. He's been in foul trouble, but his buddy Dart Tucker has done anything but struggle. He has had a monster afternoon. 26 points. DePaul continues to lead. Going in that tournament, let's take a look at some Big East news. The award winners, DeJuan Blair of Pittsburgh and Hashim Thabit of UConn, shared the Player of the Year honor in the Big East, a topic of much discussion around this league in recent weeks. Greg Monroe of Georgetown, the Rookie of the Year, and the Coach of the Year, Jay Wright from Villanova. Let's start with the co-players of the year, and Thabit and Blair. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, DeJuan Blair established himself, particularly with his play against Connecticut, but I really thought Jarrell McNeil would be the other co-player of the year. What he was able to do for Marquette on a consistent basis. I've got nothing against Hashim Thabit because when you look at him, he can be the most dominant player, not only in the league, but maybe in the country when he's on. But there was a tendency, particularly early in the season, for him to disappear on the offensive end. Certainly he changed games defensively, and that's why he's a conference defensive player of the year. But I think Jarrell McNeil just a tad more deserving.
And you would think the losing streak by Marquette, in spite of the James injury, it still is a losing streak. They've lost their last 4, that may have hurt McNeil's case. The other name, of course, that came up a lot was Terrence Williams, considered to be the best player on the team that won the league regular season championship in Louisville. And you would imagine he received some consideration. He was terrific Saturday against West Virginia. And both McNeil and Williams were first-team All-Big East performers, but they did not merit Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Williams is outstanding, but you look at those numbers and across the board and the impact on the team. You know, Terrence Williams has been, the kind of guy that can do a lot of things. Some of them don't show up on the stat sheet. But the bottom line for Jarrell McNeil is that even though there's a losing streak, I mean, without the chemistry, without Dominic James, he's not nearly as effective because he's got to do probably far too much. But take a look at Thabit once again. He can change games, no question about it.
And one thing, talking about a guy like McNeil, that he does as well as anybody, he plays his tail off every single second that he's on the floor. We'll get an up-close look at Jarrell McNeil in our next game, Marquette and St. John's. Our second round game immediately following this one here on ESPN.
That's right. With McNeil, you can count on him on both ends of the floor.
Block is that Efajuku, who tried to take the charge. And Dart Tucker is going back to the line again. 2 shots the rest of the way for DePaul. Double bonus time. Now, one of the officials is signaling 1-1, now correcting himself. It is 2 shots the rest of the way. 10th team foul on Providence.
For DePaul will be shooting 2.
Giving away some points at the line. Here come the Golden Eagles. Jarrell McNeil and the rest of the Marquette Golden Eagles. Wesley Matthews, Lazar Hayward. There goes David Kubian. Buzz Williams, first-year head coach, as the Golden Eagles make their way into the Garden. There's Dominic James. That was the last shot you saw. The young man on crutches there with a broken foot, as he has accompanied his team to New York for the Big East Championship. And they'll take on St. John's in our next game.
Once again, Providence, all they have to do is look at the scoreboard, recognize that it's not a huge hump to get over. They just got to be able to string some quality play together. That certainly helps, getting Efajuku going to the basket. Put the pressure on DePaul. Take it off yourselves by putting it on your opponent.
Well, right now, it seems like the Friars can't keep Dart Tucker from getting to the basket and getting to the line, and the Blue Demons can't keep Wayne Efajuku from getting to the bucket and getting to the line.
And, guys like Will Walker and even Mario Stula have done enough to be able to keep the Providence defense honest so they can't load up on Dart Tucker.
Number 4 on Tucker. That's got to be of great concern right now to Jerry Wainwright, the way that he's been carrying them here in the second half.
Well, there you go. You know what's going to happen the next several possessions down the floor as long as Tucker's on the floor.
Unlikely he'll take him out. In yesterday's win over Cincinnati, Jerry Wainwright did not make a single substitution in the second half. He played the same 5 guys the entire second half. 4 of his starters played 38 minutes or more in the game. Tucker and Efijuku, as you would expect, both with big numbers here today. Walker one-on-one up and over McDermott. And it'll be Providence ball.
Well, DePaul, with the right thinking, attacked that pressure. But you got to find a way to finish. Walker more of a jump shooter than a finisher around the basket.
And the Friars have a chance to take the lead.
And you see the switch right there. You got Tucker now on Jeff Xavier, who's more of a jump shooter and doesn't quite put it on the floor enough to put pressure on Tucker defensively.
Their last lead was at 34-33 early this half. Efijuku's got it back, and the shot clock did not reset. The 3 no good. Rebound DePaul.
Quick shot by Xavier, should have swung it around. You know, you got to go to the guys with the hot hand. Get it back in Curry's hand. Time and score situation. You need a bucket. You don't need a quick shot.
And a great contrast here, Len, between a team dominated by seniors versus a team dominated by sophomores. And we'll see how the relative inexperience of the Blue Demons plays out. How much did they grow up yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, the way you handle it, again, if you're an experienced guy, you recognize time and score.
You can see 6 minutes now since DePaul made a shot from the field, and that drought will continue.
Yeah, now you got Dar Tucker and Sherrod Curry, and Keno Davis is trying to get a quick clear out.
Conley in the post, draws the double team, swings it to Efijuku, steps by Walker, kicks to Xavier, and the Friars take the lead.
Much better shot. Jeff Xavier takes a shot after the ball's been moved around, after the defense has shifted. He gets an open look. He's got the ability to get set and knock it down, and he comes over to Efijuku and congratulates him for that pass. Good ball movement. Efijuku recognized it just enough to freeze the defense, and Xavier gets himself set.
Jerry Wainwright wants to stem the tide right now as he calls a timeout. The Friars shooting 44% from beyond the arc today, 8 for 18. As we check out the Friars' resume again, they beat then #1 Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. They have beaten Syracuse. They swept Cincinnati. But overall, the strength of schedule, RPI, quality wins, not where you would expect them to be for a team worthy of an at-large bid. So the feeling is Providence needs to win this one and then beat Louisville tomorrow if they are to have a chance to get into the dance.
And again, talking to Commissioner Mike Slive yesterday and hearing him speak of subjective judgment of the basketball people on the tournament selection committee, this is also about perception. Providence 6-6 over their last 12. They won 2 out of the last 3, including that win over Pittsburgh. They win this game, it's 3 out of 4. If they win tomorrow, 4 out of 5. And now you got a team that can make an argument that they're hot, and they've got another signature win.
Well, maybe another freshman mistake. Jeremiah Kelly on a 2-on-1 pulled up for a 3. And Stula underneath the basket. Kelly took the 3, barely grazed the rim, and it's turned back over to the Friars.
And that's just a pure example of not understanding time and score situation.
Efijuku. 2 more for him. Providence extends the lead. 21 now for Efijuku. Nearing the final 4 minutes. Tucker pulls up for a 3. Rebound Xavier. Danger time right now for the Blue Demons.
And this is what I talked about in close game situations. You become more of a team and less of a one-on-one situation, not believing you have to do it by yourself. Providence has done that, and that's why they have the lead. And DePaul is in this drought because for the most part, they've had guys go one-on-one.
23 now for Sherrod Curry. A DePaul turnover. Numbers for the Friars. McDermott lays it in. A 15-1 run right now for Providence as Jerry Wainwright uses his final timeout.
Well, again, we talked about Providence needing to understand that you need to play together even more so. Play to your strengths, and that's what they've been doing. Wayme Efujuku, Sherrod Curry. You know, these are the guys that have carried this team for the most part. And then Jeff McDermott, one of the more versatile players in the conference. You're talking about 3 of the top scorers for this team, a balanced team. And they're getting everybody involved, 15-1 run. I think they have the feeling right now.
As we check our DiGiorno heating up stats, it's the Providence Friars who are heating up, and just in the nick of time, a 15-1 run in the last 4.5 minutes. After in the first half, they appeared not to be playing with as much desire or intensity as DePaul. It took them about 32, 33 minutes to get going, but once they got going, they have played awfully well and now have an 8-point lead.
Yeah, it took that period of time for all of them to get going, for all of them to understand what it takes. They've had a guy here and there, Efujuku for some moments, Curry for some others, but now they've just put it all together.
Again, a team loaded with seniors, all kinds of experience, knowing they need this win and more to be considered for the NCAA tournament. It took them a while to meet the challenge presented to them today by the young DePaul Blue Demons.
And again, just to show you how important it is for guys to move the ball, etc. When Providence has 18 or more assists, they're 12-1. This is the kind of team, because they have a lot of potent scorers, they got guys who can pass the ball. They just need to play together. When they go one-on-one and they rely on 1 or 2 guys, they're not having the success that they should. And down the stretch here during that run, that's exactly what they've done.
Kickball, it'll be DePaul's ball when we come back. East history spanning all 30 years of this conference have won the Big East Championship once, and it was 1994. They beat the second-ranked Connecticut Huskies in the semifinals and then beat Georgetown in the championship game. Rick Barnes was the head coach. Michael Smith was the tournament MVP. The Friars winning their only Big East tournament championship. And in fact, if they win this game today, this will be their first win in this tournament since 2003. They have lost 10 of their last 11 games in this tournament coming into today. They seem to have gotten more than their share of Georgetown and Villanova over the years.
And that last win in 2003 was against West Virginia.
Yep.
A nice little respite from the beasts in the Big East.
Meanwhile, the DePaul Blue Demons, who played so well and so hard for so long, have now gone 8 minutes since making a field goal. The Blue Demons leading most of the afternoon. 15-1 run right now for the Friars. Tucker, with his offhand, draws another foul and will go right back to the free throw line, where he seems to have spent the majority of the afternoon.
Well, I think part of the strategy from Providence, particularly going down the stretch, is they're not in that much foul trouble. And so obviously you want to put Providence on the line. As a team shooting 62%, their best free throw shooter only shooting 71%. You don't want to give up layups if you don't have to.
That is all for Jonathan Colley. Number 5 on him, and Marshawn Brooks will take his place. Colley leads with 7 points and 8 rebounds.
Now that you're hot and you're having some success on the offensive end, you'll take your chances with DePaul on the line. 3 minutes left, and right now an 8-point lead.
Jerry Wainwright at times has lamented the lack of a third scorer until Will Walker got going late in the season and became that third scorer. The problem today for DePaul, the supposed second scorer, Matt Koshwal, has only 2 points today. It's been all Tucker and Walker.
Well, obviously the fouls have saddled Koshwal and really not allowed him to kind of play as loose as he'd like to play as physical as he'd like to play.
Under 3 minutes to go. The winner plays Louisville in a quarterfinal game noon tomorrow here on ESPN.
You see Providence right now spreading the floor. They're going to milk clock, kind of four-corner situation, and penetrate and kick.
Xavier to McDermott, and well executed by this veteran bunch. DePaul had lost 18 in a row coming into this tournament. All of them conference games. Finished up the conference schedule without a win. Beat Cincinnati yesterday. Looks like their season will come to a close here today. Walker slides in again, goes to the offhand and gets the bounce.
There were 4 or 5 passes made in that offensive possession by DePaul, something they probably will think better of the next time they get in this kind of situation. That'll stem the drought. Prior to that, too much one-on-one, too many guys trying to take it upon themselves. And again, that's a characteristic of youth, lack of experience.
Then Providence milking the clock down to 10. A long floater by Curry. What a great rebound by Brooks, just soaring. DePaul will start gambling. Under a minute and a half to go. Right now, Postich has his hands in. Why am I on Curry? Postich can't find a matchup that he likes right now. Xavier.
Well, if you're wondering why DePaul isn't fouling, I just have a feeling Jerry Wainwright just wants his guys now to fully understand how to play this game. They're going to understand the consequences of it, as opposed to drawing this thing and dragging it out.
And they surprised a lot of people by picking up a win yesterday. Fought hard today. Walker for 3. He's got 25. Tucker with 30 and Walker with 25. And there's a foul.
And he was waiting to see if they could score before he decides, okay, we're going to start fouling.
The Friars on their way to a quarterfinal matchup with Louisville at noon Eastern tomorrow. Len and I will have Marquette and St. John's for you shortly here today. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery will bring you West Virginia, Notre Dame, and Syracuse Seton Hall tonight from the Garden. A busy day of hoops here in New York. Seton Hall and Notre Dame advancing in their first round wins. Keep an eye tonight on Jeremy Hazel of the Pirates. He can score with anybody in this conference as Seton Hall looks to pull off the upset over the Orange.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I don't think Jerry Wainwright wanted to drag this thing out. He wanted to see if his team would give themselves a chance. And after knocking down that 3, he saw an opportunity to foul, hoping that that's what's going to happen, that they miss and they have another chance to come down. But as it looks here, if they don't score, I would suspect they're not going to foul. This game is pretty much done.
Walker again. What a day for Tucker and Walker. They've combined for 58 of DePaul's 71 points.
Well, now that they fouled, it's now that they scored, it's a two-possession ball game. You might as well foul. You know, see if you score. If you don't score, you let it go.
Third foul on Walker. And 2 shots coming for Efajuku.
Efajuku at the line, shooting 2.
Efajuku from Fresh Meadows, New York, over in the Queens part of town. 0-3 in his collegiate career in this building. And you grew up in New York. You can relate to what it means not only to play but to win in this building, which Efajuku will evidently do for the first time today.
What it means is you can go home
with your head held high, right?
Right, not have the neighborhood kids coming down on you, your peers.
Tucker. Koshwal will save it. But into the hands of the Friars. Shot clock turned off. And one last foul, perhaps, as Kelly commits the foul. But it's going to be Providence advancing into the quarterfinals to take on the top-seeded Louisville Cardinals tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not understanding this one right here. I mean, I know you try to play it down to the wire. Stranger things have happened. But sometimes you understand the trends.
Louisville defeated Providence rather handily back in the middle of February. Great balance from the Cardinals. And Louisville, boy, they can force some turnovers. And Providence gave it up 22 times in that game.
But remember, that game was at Louisville. A little bit of home court advantage. We're here on a neutral court right now. I think Providence probably will go back and understand that they dodged one, that mentally they've got to come to these games ready. Their opportunity now is in front of them. You know, you beat Louisville, I think they have a strong case to say we deserve a bid.
Again. Unbelievable performance by Will Walker, who's got 31. How many times in a collegiate basketball game do you see 2 teammates each score 30 points and they don't even win the game? 61 of the 74 between Walker and Tucker.
Conversely, you look over Providence, they've got 5 guys that have scored over 1,000 points in their careers. They got the ability to kind of balance this scoring, which is pretty much what they've done today when they finally got on track. I'll take the balance.
Xavier makes them both. Crowd oohing and eyeing at a rare miss by Will Walker. Blue Demons not conceding anything, but they won't foul here in the final few seconds as the Providence Friars rally late and turn away the upset bid of Jerry Wainwright's young DePaul team. They will finish 9-24 on the season. Keno Davis and the Friars will advance to the quarterfinals tomorrow at noon Eastern to take on the top-seeded Louisville Cardinals. Some great performances in this game. Curry with 25, Efajuku with 23 for the Friars.